Good day, and welcome to another edition of Q&A Social Security Disability Today. I am your host, Attorney Anthony Reed, and it's always a pleasure to have you with me here this afternoon, this evening, or this morning, whatever time you're watching these videos. Today we're going to get right to it. We have a question that was posed to me that was actually a fairly lengthy question, but I summarized it to this point. The question that was asked is, what does it mean for a case to be approved? Well, here's the short answer. When Social Security makes the determination from a medical standpoint that you are approved, they have determined that you are disabled. Now, I will be the first to tell you that's usually the simplest part. The hardest part is determining what you're going to get paid and how you're going to get paid. Here's what I mean by that. When you apply for Social Security disability benefits, the first thing they do is they do a technical determination. That technical determination is really a matter of making a determination of what programs you are eligible for. In other words, if you have never worked before but you're in a really bad financial position, you may qualify for what we call supplemental security income. If you've worked and paid into the system for 20 out of the last 40 quarters, or what we say 5 out of the last 10 years, you may be eligible for benefits under the Disability Insurance Benefits Program. If you're over the age of 50 and you are widowed and you're applying for disability benefits based on the earnings of your deceased spouse, you may be entitled to what we call a disabled widow or widower's claim. So the first thing Social Security does is they make a determination, are you eligible for any of those programs? Once they make a determination of eligibility, they then go to the medical portion. So they go from the technical to the medical. Then what they do is they, utilizing what we call the 5-step sequential evaluation guidelines, if they determine that you are disabled, they'll then issue what we call a medical determination, which determines that you're medically disabled. Then they issue your decision telling you that you're approved. Now here's where most people kind of get caught in the shuffle. Is a lot of times when we hear, oh, Social Security found I'm disabled, you start doing the running man and getting your jig on and shaking and everything, and you think that you're going to get all this money, but then all of a sudden something weird happens. You don't get what you're thinking. Well, the reason why is because you've been found medically disabled, but that determination of medical disability has to be weighed in conjunction with other things to determine what is your financial eligibility to things. Let me kind of back up a second here and kind of explain further. Remember when I told you when you first go apply, they look at your case from a technical standpoint, and then they go to the medical portion? Well, then they go backwards. So first, technically they determine if you're eligible. Then they have to find out if you're medically eligible. Then once they determine that you are medically eligible, the date they use to determine medical eligibility, meaning the date they determine when your disability began, is important because that's the date that is used in reference with the type of application you have to determine what benefits you're going to get. So let's kind of use an example. Say, for instance, that you went in to apply for Social Security disability. You went to apply for disability. You don't know which one you're eligible for, but you're going to go and apply. And you indicated you went and you applied on January 1st, 2011. And you said you became disabled January 1st, 2009. All right, so you go and you apply for everything. First and foremost, what happens is that you get a decision, and even though you say you became disabled on January 1, 2009, Social Security determines that your disability didn't begin until June 1, 2011. Now, for those of you who are like, what the heck does that mean? What does that mean? Well, what they did is they made a determination that you were partially entitled to a favorable decision. There are two types of decisions you get, a fully favorable or a partially favorable. And that's depending on the date that they determined that you were disabled. When you go to apply for disability benefits, you will give them a date that you believe that your disability began. It's what we call your alleged onset date. That's the date you say your condition got to the point that it prevented you from being able to work. It's not the one when you first fell sick. It wasn't the one where you just first started looking cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. That date has to correspond in relation to the date you believe your medical condition rose to the level that it prevented you from being able to perform work as you normally would perform it. Period. Now, Social Security may amend that date or recommend that you amend that date if they believe that that date is not an accurate date. In other words, when you're applying for disability benefits, if you say you became disabled on January 1, 2009, it's not Social Security's responsibility to determine that that's true. You have to prove that it's true. So let's say that you said you became disabled January 1, 2009, but the first time you went to a doctor was like June 1, 2011. Guess what? If you don't have anything between January 1, 2009 until June of 2011, more than likely, Social Security is going to rely upon the documentation of June of 2011. So you have your alleged onset date, which is the date you say you became disabled, and the amended onset date, which is the date Social Security determined that you were disabled. Now, here's the other thing you need to be aware of. When you get a favorable decision, it comes in either one of two formats, a fully favorable or a partially favorable. A fully favorable is where you apply, you said you became disabled, and you get everything that you are entitled to because they agreed with you. So you applied in January 1 of 2011, you said you became disabled January 1, 2009, and Social Security says you are absolutely right. So guess what? You got what you asked for. Then, if that doesn't happen, you may have a partially favorable decision. A partially favorable decision is one by which Social Security has determined you're disabled, but the parameters by which your disabilities are established are not the way you believe. So, how does that come to you in terms of breaking it down? Well, they can make a decision of partial disability based on a couple of things. They could say you are eligible for an open period of disability benefits, but it doesn't start on the date you say it began, or a closed period of disability benefits, which means it began and ended at a certain point. Let's take each one. Let's use the example where I say you applied for disability benefits in January of 2011, but you allege that you were disabled in January of 2009, but Social Security says that you became disabled starting in June 1 of 2011. Basically, what's happened in this example is that they've said, we believe you're disabled, but your disability did not start until June 1 of 2011. We believe that your condition is one that's going to last for a while going forward, but we believe that it only existed starting on this date. And a period of open disability is where you're basically saying your disability has started here. We don't know when it's going to end, but we know up at least to this point today, the date going backwards and the date to today, or in at least maybe a period of time going forward, you are disabled. That's an open period. A closed period is one where they say we believe your disability existed but only for a set period of time. So let's say you became disabled January 1, 2009, and Social Security said your disability benefits ended. Your disability end on January 1, 2011. In other words, what they are telling you is you are disabled, but it's only for a set period of time. I know I've gone through a lot, but here's the most important thing you need to be aware of. The determination of when you became disabled is going to be important as it relates to the type of program that you have. Because the reason why I say that is this, and I haven't gone over it here in this presentation, but if you want me to, I'd be more than happy to do so. That date may make the difference in terms of how much money you get for back pay. It may make the difference in terms of when your eligibility for medical coverage under Medicare or Medicaid may kick in. It may make a determination if you're even eligible, meaning whether or not your disability falls within your coverage for disability insurance benefits or disabled widows benefits. So it's important to understand when Social Security has determined that you are disabled, understand that that's only the first part of the process as it relates to you being paid. So even though you've been approved, be aware that you're going to be getting a lot more documentation so you can understand that that date is important in determining how you get paid and how much money you can pay. Again, thank you for joining me for another edition of Q&A Social Security Disability Today. I encourage you to leave your messages here. You can always follow me at LegalBeat. www.anthonyreeves.com for new and improved messages. Everything you need to know about Social Security, you can start right there. Or if you want to shoot me up a message, Anthony at Reeves Firm or reevesfirm.com. I'm more than happy to help you out. Have a wonderful day, everybody. And again, this is your Q&A